bring in Carson Palmer, the former NFL quarterback. You must have tears in your eyes watching the Bengals go to the AFC title game.
Oh, I loved it. I loved it. I loved it for the city. I loved it for that young team and Joe Burrow especially.
You know, when you have that, you're turning everything over to your kicker. Like, what's that feeling like that you've done everything you're supposed to do as the quarterback, and then the kicker is going to decide? Like, how helpless is that?
It's scary, and you know, it seems so simple, but you go stand out there on that field, and the wind is swirling, and you look up at how narrow those uprights are, and think about how fast those guys have to do that, and how accurate they have to be. It's a job I wouldn't want.
I know you've talked about Joe Burrow, but like these young quarterbacks just don't seem that young anymore when they're 22, 23, 24 out there. And like, I don't know how you teach that with these younger quarterbacks. Or is it something that can be taught to be calm under pressure, under fire?
You can't teach what Joe Burrow's doing right now. I mean, to see him get sacked 9 times in a game, and the amazing thing as a former quarterback watching it is I know how deflating each sack can be. And this game, especially at this point in the season, is all about momentum. And it's such a momentum killer when you get sacked. To not freak out, to not make a bad decision, to not, try to flip one out of bounds and avoid the sack and it end up being a sack, fumble, or a pick. I mean, he is so calm and cool under such tremendous pressure. And I think that's what is jumping out on the film to me is he just looks so much older than he actually is.
That game last night, you got the feeling that these two are going to see a lot of each other the rest of their careers, almost like a Brady, Peyton Manning type feel to it, back and forth. What did you take away from the Chiefs beating the Bills?
Yeah, I mean, the top dog stayed on top. At the end of the day, we keep looking for the next Patrick Mahomes and wanting to anoint Josh Allen and Burrow. But the big dog won. I mean, at the end of the day, the best quarterback in the league is still playing. And Josh gave him a run for his money. And that Buffalo team, there is so much excitement in the future, that young Buffalo team. But we saw the beginning of the next great duel of those two quarterbacks.
Yeah, I was wondering, with the kickoff, and Tony Romo said this in real time. He's like, I don't want to have a touchback. I want them to run the clock a little bit, like have a squib kick, a pooch kick, something like that. What did you think of that strategy?
Yeah, I mean, 13 seconds is truly amazing for them to have moved the ball that quickly, that fast, with that little of time. Any time on the clock is too much. You've got, I mean, looking back, they've got to squib that. You've got to take as much time off the clock and out of Patrick Mahomes' hands as you can.
And you need 2 20-yard plays. Like, I don't know how you process that when you're in the huddle and you're going to need 40 yards to get in field goal range there of, you got 3 timeouts left. But it was just strange. It felt like Buffalo was playing the sidelines. They had 3 timeouts. I didn't understand the strategy of the Buffalo Bills defense.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, you never think when you have the ball in that situation that the defense is going to be bad enough to give up 2 20-yard plays. You're like, this is the NFL. These guys will not actually do this. And then sure enough, boom, boom, 2 plays in a row. And they completely change the field position. And sometimes I know it was a problem for me, and it was something Pete Carroll worked with me on all the time, is giving the defense too much respect. These are the best of the best. These are the NFL guys. At the end of the day, they make mistakes, they blow coverages, and they did it right there.
Well, you saw that in the Buccaneers game against the Rams. Like, how do you forget where Cooper Kupp is a couple of times?
Yeah, I mean, that covers zero blitz in that situation and not getting home, and given that Stafford had just enough time before Ndamukong Suh got a piece of him, and letting the best player on the field run down the middle of the field wide open at the end of the game for the winner is just something, that's just a backbreaker.
It felt like there was a little finality to it with Brady. I know it's right after the fact when you lose and you go to the press conference. Normally he says, I'm coming back. He said, I need to take some time here. The same thing with Aaron Rodgers. Feels like Rodgers is going to play again. The question is he going to play with Green Bay? Which do you think is more likely to happen? Brady is done or Aaron Rodgers is done in Green Bay?
I think Brady is 100% coming back, and I think Aaron Rodgers is also coming back, but not to the Green Bay Packers. I think it was a win it, and if they had won it, and the organization could prove that they were a Super Bowl caliber organization, then he finishes his career there and hopefully wins a couple more. Now I think all bets are off. I think Aaron will be switching teams.
What team makes the most sense?
From his standpoint, Denver. I mean, that roster is ready. That's a really good defensive front. It's really good on the back end. They've been under Vic Fangio for a long time. It's a smart defense. It's a team that's been around a really veteran play caller. And offensively, they got some weapons outside, kind of Devontae style weapons, and some size. And I think that's probably the best team. It's going to the toughest division, but that's probably the best team that's Super Bowl ready.
Yeah, I'm there with you. I think that they're kind of a sneaky giant ready to emerge there. I know it's in the AFC West, but I think Denver's got a ton of talent there, and they can give up draft picks to get Aaron Rodgers. Why do you say Brady 100% sure he's coming back?
I just think the year he had, I mean, the numbers he put up, the level he played at, if he wins another MVP and didn't go to the Super Bowl, I mean, that's just enough, another chip on his shoulder. I think 100% we'll see Brady back next year in a Buck uniform.
What about the Titans with Ryan Tannehill? I know he's at a good price for a starting quarterback, but is he holding them back?
Well, you saw his at the end of the day, that's what cost them the game is his play, unfortunately. But the ulterior is not any better for them. They're not going to find somebody drafting at 26 or 27, whatever it is they're going to be picking at. Ryan has gotten them a first round bye at the end of the day. He's gotten them to that level. They need to make the next steps and maybe improve around him. But he is 100% the best quarterback that they're going to find at this point and that the next point of going into next season.
Would you rather have Carson Wentz or Ryan Tannehill?
Ryan Tannehill, 100%.
How about Jimmy Garoppolo?
Jimmy's got 9 lives. I mean, it's amazing.
How do you explain that, Carson? He's a game away from going back to a Super Bowl. He had 106 yards.
Broken thumb, sprained shoulder. He just finds a way. It's amazing. He's on his 9th life for sure.
I know, but why now? Trying to beat somebody 3 times in a season. The Niners trying to beat the Rams. And look, the Rams looked unbelievable, and then they looked so vulnerable all in the same game. I have no idea what to expect. I'm not surprised they won the game against Tampa, but I still can be surprised when I watch them be so good and so bad in the same game.
They're in an interesting spot. The LA Rams did not want to draw the San Francisco 49ers in the playoffs. They do not match up well. They've got their number. They are in their heads. They know it. They've beat them at their own stadium before. It's just, it is the one team they did not want to play. It is the one team that the Rams do not match up well with.
What is it that San Francisco does that gives the Rams so much trouble?
Well, they can get after you with 4. They don't have to bring a ton of different pressures, but they do a really good job of pressuring. I mean, some of the personnel wise, I mean, you can put Bosa on both sides so he doesn't get stuck on the left tackle at all the time. They can bring him on the inside. He's great at stunts. It's just a bad match and a bad draw for them.
Good to talk to you, as always. Thanks. Enjoy the games coming up next weekend.
Will do. Thanks, Dan.
That's Carson Palmer, former NFL quarterback, Heisman Trophy winner, brought to you by Level Select CBD. The next level relief, visit levelselectcbd.com.